This episode is brought to you by Bumble, who says Valentine's Day is just for couples. Just because you're not in a relationship doesn't mean you can't get out there and live your best love life. That's where Bumble comes in. This February 14th, you can flip the script and give those relationshipers a friendly dose of FOMO. Say no to staying in this Valentine's Day and yes to more. More dates, more first kisses, more gossip for the group chat girlies. Do Valentine's your way. Date now on Bumble.
Joe, we are back at Newport Beach, and they started school what feels like last week, and we are already on a Thanksgiving episode, which is crazy after 9 episodes of summertime.
You know, I can't. It's indefensible. I can't say anything because this is it didn't matter to me when I was watching it. But I don't know why I care so much now. I think maybe because I'm older and time is more precious.
Yes.
This and our our post 2020 post pandemic lives, time is very precious, and so I care a lot more. But you could have ended this show 10 episodes. You know what I mean? If this was distilled down to a 10 episode Netflix thing, then it would be everything would happen in an hour and a half in the first episode.
That, or it would have been a mini series called the OC Summer Break.
Yeah.
That would have been the 10-part episode. I mean, so I'm going to jump to a note that I had in the middle of my notes for a quick second.
Okay.
And I'm reading this note because I'm writing my notes in real time.
Okay.
Right? And I think that this ended up being false, actually. But I wrote, well, this is my fault for enjoying a fairly drama-free episode, but now here comes Caleb and Julie Cooper to fuck shit up. And ultimately, I actually walked away from this episode feeling you know what? This was as drama-induced, stress-induced drama levels of any sitcom. This was just pure sitcom fodder with a stolen car subplot.
Yes.
It's pretty light. This is light on the this isn't ending with someone overdosing in TJ.
No, it's not. It's definitely not. It's not. There's no overdosing. There's no they're literally, like you said, the only drama is we're going back to Chino.
Yeah. We're going
back
to
Chino.
I love / find it slightly offensive the storyline throughout this episode that Kirsten cannot be trusted in the kitchen. There's the one scene Seth walks in and he just goes, Mom, you're uncomfortably close to the corner of that oven right now and I need you to back up. I'm just who the fuck are you, Seth Cohen?
So, okay, so you're starting at the beginning of the episode, which I'm glad because I'm watching this episode and I was, before even the beginning credits start rolling in this cold open, right? I immediately was taken out and I had to stop it and go do something else because I was so mad. And the reason why I was mad, Matt, is because Seth Cohen in this episode says, why are you basically asking Kirsten, why are you doing Thanksgiving? Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. We know that is fucking false.
That is not true. I haven't even gotten to a Chrismukkah episode in this real time, and I am aware that he likes Chrismukkah more than he likes Thanksgiving. I also have to question if he's giving all of his reasons why Thanksgiving is his favorite time, but I don't know, there's something I don't totally follow because it also seems like he doesn't want his mom to do the home-cooked meal thing. So has it always been Sandy that makes this big crazy Thanksgiving? I want to know. I need to compare what his previous Cohen Thanksgivings have been to understand how this is such a fumble.
I was trying to figure out, and maybe it came up and I was looking at my phone, let's be honest, but I was like, is it that they have, because they have like a maid, right? Or I mean, they had I don't know, they had a maid in the first episode, the first couple episodes. Over the summer there was a maid.
Look, they adopted their new maid, so it's fine. His name's Ryan Atwood, and he takes care of the house for him.
He can make bacon, he can grill, he's the one who can cook.
Yeah, he made some grilled cheese and it looked like a grilled cheese.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if like maybe they never cooked. Not even that Sandy cooked. Maybe it's just that they never cooked or something. But
okay.
Yeah, I was just immediately taken out of it. I was like, no, I got to turn this off because this is a continuity thing that bothers me, being a fan of the show and like looking at the overarching thing of the show. It's like, I don't think Thanksgiving comes up like this. And, I will eat my words when we get to season 2 if there's a Thanksgiving episode and it's like this. And he's all talking about it. But let's be honest, when we think Seth Cohen, we think of Christmaka, because again, like a true narcissist, his favorite holiday is going to be the one he invented.
This episode does not. Seth doesn't look like a winner in this episode, is what I'm trying to say. Seth comes off. I mean, okay, let me correct that. In a few lights, yeah, he's a winner, but
yeah, in a fuckboy
he does not
light.
come off. Yeah, he does not come off good.
No.
In this episode, one bit. He's throwing demands at his mom like a fucking 10-year-old kid on Christmas morning. He's juggling 2 women like it's a 1960s sitcom. Like, it's just like, I think this is like literally they've done this subplot on Boy Meets World. Like, yeah. It's like, oh, he needs to be in 2 places at once. But what I do enjoy in this episode is that he's also one of the other runners throughout, probably the biggest runner throughout the episode is Ryan just dunking on him. Mm-hmm. And that has some of my favorite lines. First, he says, I liked it so much better when you had no sense of humor. And then Ryan dunks on him a second time in front of the family, and he goes, did you guys know that Ryan is apparently funny now? like there are these just amazing zingers at his own expense, and I think it gets called back in the very last line of the episode too, which I did not write down, but when they're sitting on the floor eating Chinese food, he makes another comment where he's just like, all right, great. Like, he's just getting dunked on left and right by Ryan, and I'm all for it. I like it.
See, these are the moments that I appreciate because they weren't, even though Ryan is the hero, quote unquote, the dark and mysterious stranger, brooding. Brooding is always the word. Brooding and scowling is always what they use to describe him. They're not afraid to make him funny. They're not afraid to have him be funny. It's similar to when they give Rachel in Friends really silly things to do, like eating cheesecake off the floor with Chandler. Getting a Sphinx cat, like these are the things that like we expect that from Ross, because Ross is like, dorky and inept. We expect that from all the other folks, but Rachel, who's supposed to be like our cool girl, they give her these really funky things to do, which end up like showing, like, I love those moments because I'm like, yeah, she's more than just like the romantic interest that you're supposed to be rooting for.
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I really enjoyed this episode. I don't think that that's me playing any hand early here. We don't really rate these. I am still in the mindset that I am embarrassed by how much I like Anna. I think it's unbelievable that there's even a debate on the Anna versus Summer factor of this, but that I also know the OC enough to know that Anna loses this battle, which is even more infuriating to me in the long run. But even then, even with me saying, like, you know what? I think Anna would have been my dream girl in high school. That sweater that she's wearing with whatever the fucking giant bow is that's like stitched into it is one of the ugliest things I've ever seen in my entire life.
Again, Anna's serving like manic pixie dream girl maximal, aughts, like, we've invaded Iraq. We have no idea what fashion is anymore.
Yeah, it's
put that on TikTok, Matt. I dare you to put that on TikTok.
I do love, speaking of Anna, I love when the Coens meet Anna for the first time, the insane little hand motions that Sandy is sending to Seth, which is like the total dad thing of what he's trying to say is like, hey, she seems perfect for you. I'm pretty sure she likes you. But it also kind of looks like he's given a like take her to Pound Town son type motions too, which is like probably not what a dad should be like giving hand motions towards his son.
Well, like definitely not Seth, definitely not Sandy Cohen. Like, come on, Sandy Cohen at this point is America's dad, and it's America's dad, and apparently, America's legal guardian. And we can't be having him doing that. But
no. So the main plots in this episode. There's only really two, ultimately, and then there's a ton of little mini plots there. But it's like, there's plot one, which is Thanksgiving dinner at the Coens, and all these crazy little side plots that are happening in that little bubble. And then the other plot is that Ryan's brother calls him from prison, asking to see him on Thanksgiving, and Marissa going to Chino with Ryan. And the time frame is kind of crazy here, because in this time frame, he drives to Chino, goes into the prison, meets with his brother. His brother's like, you need to drop a stolen car off at a chop shop for me so that these dudes stop beating me up. He goes back home, meets up with his old girlfriend, meets up with the neighbor, gets the car, goes to the chop shop, gets ambushed at the chop shop, escapes with Marissa, goes back to the prison to see his brother,
washes his hands of his brother, and then
washes his hands of his brother, and then bounces home just in time for the big fight with the turkey on fire and some Chinese food. Like, that is a lot in what is essentially maybe an 8 to 12 hour window total.
Yeah. It's like, when did they start? When did this all take place? Because they're not having breakfast in the first scene. They're very much no cinnamon roll. You know how like some families, if you're cooking all day, it's like cinnamon rolls or cereal.
Something to like hold you over before the big dinner. Like, oh, here's like a little bit of a breakfast. The cinnamon rolls is perfect. Like that is exactly what we would do at like the Kelly house. Is like, here are 8 giant frosted cinnamon rolls for you to indulge in while my mom and I are like trying to cook 14 different things and still not miss the highlights of the Macy's Day Parade. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot of moving pieces for a successful Thanksgiving. And I'll be honest, most of the Ryan subplot I am not that focused on. Like, I'm like, he ain't going to jail again. Like, so I know that it's like, all right, something bad will happen, but it's probably not the worst thing that's happened, because the motherfucker's been in jail twice and burnt down a house. So like,
yes,
I think he's gonna be fine at the end of this story. There's a little bit of charm. Honestly, the most charming part about the Ryan subplot in this episode is Marissa meeting his ex-girlfriend and seeing the life that he left behind a little bit. And I do think that the scene in the kitchen specifically, where she's helping them get their Thanksgiving dinner prepared, is charming enough. Like, I'm like, oh, this is sweet. This is cute.
Yeah.
I love her brother, who's just straight up like, dude, you don't fucking have to do, like, which raises to mind, then why aren't you dropping off this car?
What does he say? Trey is my best friend, and you have the car, and you're his best friend, and you live in Chino. Then sense. Get Arturo to fucking do this. What?
It's like, I do want to ask, and I don't need to know plot lines. Is this pretty much the only time that we see Arturo and Teresa for the rest of this show? Is okay? They do come back. All right, cool.
This is not the last time.
All right. I love that, because I did like both of those characters. I'm like, you know what? I like that these characters have zero filter. Like, they're just like laying it out plain and simple. And you can actually tell, and who knows, The OC's been fucking wild for 11 episodes, and characters can shift on a dime, but I get a vibe that this family cares way more about Ryan than any Atwood that we've met thus far in this show. So if they're going to still be in his life as a somewhat good thing, great. If they're going to bring them back to fucking Donnie, make them the new Donnie or whatever, like, I could live a happier life not having that be here. But that's, I mean, unless you have anything else with the Ryan subplot, I think it's time to really break down what's happening with the Coens during this.
I think that, like, what I do love about this particular episode, specifically about the Ryan subplot, is the fact that, like, we get to see it. Marissa kind of sums it up in the towards the end, where it's like, I remember that I forget that you came from somewhere else, and I think that that's one thing, and one of the reasons why the OC season 1 is pretty perfect is that it's about OC season 1 is like him reconciling where he's from and feeling that pull, the forces that are pulling him back, and not fully accepting that the new reality. Season 2 will be about accepting the new reality and realizing that he needs to protect that at all costs.
Well, and I think another element of that, though, is, and I'm going to use a line from next week's episode to express this, but I think Marissa's line makes sense to a certain extent, because Ryan's new reality and his ability to accept it literally hinges on the way he's being treated by individual people. Right? So if he's hanging around with Luke or all these other people who are calling him Chino and reminding him that he doesn't fucking belong there, then, like, he's going to feel like he doesn't belong there. Whereas, like, when he's with the Coens, when he's with Marissa, and even when he's with Summer and Anna to a certain extent, he doesn't feel like an outsider, because he just feels like he's part of that group. Because I do love that. Next week we have that one line where he just says, it's been 6 months and I'm still the guy from Chino who burned down a house. Like, I have a lot of mixed thoughts about next week. I'm very excited for us to dive into that one, but
I can't wait.
We're not talking about that just yet. So jump over to the Coens. We'll say the least threatening, the least stressful plot point is actually one that I kind of bounced back and forth on, but landed on I like this, which is the attempt at pairing up Jimmy and Rachel. When they're first trying to do the blind date shit, I hate it, and I've had that done to me. I'm not sure
you
if
mean
you've ever
Mona
been on
and Joshua?
Yes. Have you ever had someone, like, kind of trick you into being on a double date?
No, because that would imply that I have friends who I'm not their only single gay friend.
Fair enough.
Including my gay friends.
Yeah, no, this was like a recent development. This happened. I was invited to a birthday party, and I attended said birthday party, and then I found out while already at the party that one of the other people at the party was single and had expressed interest in me secretly, and then everyone, without me really knowing until halfway through the evening, like, did everything in their power to, like, get us to sit next to each other and talk about stuff. And exactly how it is in this episode, when you're kind of, like, dropped into that situation, suddenly the person that they're trying to match you up with is the worst human being that you could ever be paired up with. They could be great, but, like, the sheer fact that it's like you've been, like, airdropped into a scenario that you were not even remotely mentally prepared for. Don't do this to people. It does not benefit anybody. It only, like, worsens the situation. But I do love Rachel's kind of yelling at Sandy about this. She's like, "You're going to match me up with him? He's a thief." And he goes, "You're a lawyer. It's a match."
It's a perfect match.
I'm still kind of frustrated at her kind of being like, "You're just trying to pawn me off because you don't want to accept what's going on between us."
I know. And I'm like, I would like, Mona, stop trying to come on to Sandy Cohen in his house under Kirsten's eye.
She's cooking you a turkey.
Yeah. She's getting hella wasted, but she's cooking you. She's trying.
Yeah, she's doing her best. Then we get this super awkward scene where Jimmy and Rachel are both watching a football game that is clearly something that the actors are not watching in that moment, and it might be the worst piece of acting that I've seen so far in the first season of the OC, because it's just Jimmy going, go, 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 and Rachel going, hit him, hit him. I'm like, look, I don't watch sports, but I've been in a room where people are watching sports, and it sounds way more like the fact that Jimmy is sitting on a couch yelling, go, 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 and then when there is presumably a touchdown, he doesn't jump up on the couch in celebration. I'm like, this is not an actual person watching football. I've been around those people, and they are very animated when things go well.
They're animated. They're annoying, but
yes.
like there was no stakes. Like,
no.
Yeah.
But by the end of this episode, I was kind of shipping them. I won't lie. Like, them kind of sitting on the couch talking about how soothing they find having ESPN Classic on the TV. And like, she has that line where I actually think it's the most mature thing Rachel has said the entire time I've seen her on this show, where she's like, look, I know you're not ready for anything. Like, she can tell that he's still very much in love with his wife. She's like, but if you ever aren't, hit me up. Like, it's like, you know what? I'm okay with that. It's like, you know what? This is my way of saying I'm into you, but I know you've got your shit you got to work through.
Yeah. I just like, it made me uncomfortable because, oh my God, we're getting personal. So it made me uncomfortable because I've definitely done that. Like, I've definitely been that person where like, hey, I know that you and I have attraction toward each other. And I know that like you're with someone right now, but like in any situation where that could be different, you need to like let me know. And
which I've never been let know. I've been in that same situation before. No one has ever let me know.
Yeah. And in this particular situation, someone did let me know, but it still hasn't worked out quite. It hasn't worked out in general for many other reasons, but like it was just so weird to like watch it and like know very intimately kind of where that comes from, and to also be kind of simultaneously disgusted with myself as well.
Yeah,
because it's like, oh man, you ever have that where like you look back on it and you're like, damn, I was so thirsty. Like,
yeah, I think all of us have had things that we regretted in a fit of being thirsty. And speaking of regrets while feeling a little thirsty, let's talk about Seth Cohen's plot line for a couple minutes. Ryan Atwood, being a perfect wingman, invites Anna over for Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Well, because and I really love that like there is like a kinship between the two of them. We saw that at the cotillion, right?
Yeah.
Like, or the debut. We saw that in that moment, and it's so interesting because he can relate to her being also an outsider, right? Like, she's a new kid, he's a new kid. Obviously, she comes from that moneyed world, but like, she's manic pixie dream girl, so she's still weird and different and not quite she like for all intents and purposes, like, she's very covered up. She's very like she's very Mennonite in her, like, you know, in her dress. And so compared to like Summer, who, you know, you like one breeze,
she's grilling in a bikini.
Yeah,
sometimes.
It's like one breeze and you see everything. But in this way, it's like there is that kinship between them, and I like how at this point we're still exploring that. And but Ryan does have his back at the same time, because it's like, you know, ultimately whoever Seth wants to be with, but he's doing his part to kind of, you know, yenta the relationship between them.
Yeah. Well, and I think Ryan's perspective, which is a perspective that many of my friends have tossed my way sometimes, is like, dude, I know you're hung up on person X, but person X has not paid you even a second of time. And meanwhile, here's person Y who actually cares about you, actually makes time for you, and that you enjoy being around. So why not, at the very least, explore this. And if you don't have feelings for that person at the end of the day, then you don't, and you remain friends. But like, your reason for not exploring with this person should not be because person X, because you like person X, because person X has shown no signs of liking you back just yet. So we she's there. She's going to make him a special snack, which he makes fun of, and she tells him how he's going to eat his words when she's done cooking it. She goes right down Caleb's throat about, tearing up the land that he wants to tear up, which definitely wins some points for Seth with Daddy Co in there. And everything's going great. I mean, at this point, this is a magical rom-com moment. And then, Marissa invited Summer over. And Seth does the absolute worst thing possible, which is not let Summer into the house, but instead hide her in the pool house and immediately start a hardcore makeout session with her. But then takes Anna to his bedroom, where we get the epic return of Captain Oates, and has a makeout session with Anna. And then it is, like I said, this is like a Boy Meets World subplot. This is the last act of Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah.
We've just got...
Yes. The whole time, Seth. The whole time.
Yeah, just bouncing back and forth between these two rooms. Again, does not look good for Seth throughout this. I also wrote down a note that I am embarrassed by, which says that I literally have the exact same sweater that Seth is wearing in this episode. Now, in my defense, I have worn that sweater exactly one time, and it was for Halloween when I was Fear from Inside Out. But it is absolutely undeniably the exact same sweater. I also wrote down a line when everything comes out that this is what Seth has been doing all day. Kirsten, in her slightly inebriated way, just goes, "I always knew you were going to be a late bloomer," which is just could not be the worst thing that she could say. And then tying all of these stories together is that Caleb and Julie Cooper make an unexpected arrival as well. There is this amazing shot that is so heartwarming where the Coens are walking through their house. And they're seeing Jimmy and Rachel getting along, and they're seeing Seth cooking with Anna, and it just feels like, love is in the air. The infamous holiday of love, Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've done it almost instantaneously. Caleb, Julie, and Summer all make unannounced visits that just fuck up all of these love storylines in one fell swoop.
Sandy has my favorite line of this season, or no, of this episode. It's the gruesome twosome. They give him, like, I just love the wit that they've outfitted Peter Gallagher with when it comes to Julie Cooper.
And again, next week it's a little bit off for Sandy, but not terribly. But for the most part, Sandy has this vibe of always knowing that he has the higher ground.
Yeah.
So that he almost like enjoys the chaos. Like to him, it's like he doesn't really care that much if Rachel and Jimmy get together or not.
Yeah.
Because he knows that he's not interested in Rachel like that, and he loves his wife, right? And at this point, he's still like, and my wife is faithful to me, so I'm not threatened by Jimmy. So like everything is honky-dory there. And like Caleb already hates me. Caleb's not going to ever hate me more than he currently hates me. So it's almost this attitude of like, this situation isn't going to change one way or the other, so I might as well just kick back and have fun with the insanity that's happening.
Yep.
And I do love that about him. It's very zen to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But I do have one other Captain Oates line because Seth brings Anna up, introduces her to Captain Oates, abandons her for what feels like a good half hour. And when he comes back, which, credit to Anna, I probably would not have just stayed up in that room after more than 5 minutes. I would have been like, what the fuck is happening? But she's playing Jenga with Captain episodes.
Yeah.
And says like, oh, Captain Oates is a bit of a sore loser, honestly. Which, if he wasn't also making out with Summer behind the scenes, this scene would be adorable.
There was a moment where I was watching Captain Oates. It was after the Jenga when he gets like locked up in his sweater. Like he can't get his sweater off. And I remember thinking like, oh my God, I remember why I like guys like this. Why I like guys like this. Because they're just, so dorky and just, quick with their words and, never like it just, like I think it was just like the budding Dom in me.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, all in all, I found this to be a really enjoyable episode. That on the like TV show Thanksgiving episodes, aka the Friendsverse, I would put this in the higher I would rank this along with some of the higher rated Friends Thanksgiving episodes. This is right up there with like the one with all the football and Chandler in a box in my eyes. Like this is something where it's like, you know what? I would watch this on Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm. I think that it is, I mean, obviously it gets eclipsed by, it's not too like a couple more episodes and it gets eclipsed by Christmaka. So I think you're right there. I think that I would also include this as part of like a Thanksgiving watch because like people have movies that they like to watch around the holidays. I love Thanksgiving TV episodes.
Well, I think the problem is that there's really only 1 to 2 truly great Thanksgiving movies. And I love Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I would say it's probably John Hughes's best overall movie, but at a certain point, I'm like, I don't know if I need to watch this every single year.
Yeah, I don't need to watch Home for the Holidays every year.
Yeah, Pieces of April is great, but it's fucking a downer. You know what I mean? And like
the Family
it's
Stone,
just like
right?
Yeah,
is that also Thanksgiving?
I think so. That's either Thanksgiving or Christmas, but yeah, it's that like late fall, early winter vibe. And I think you're right. I think television shows have better Thanksgiving episodes than there are Thanksgiving movies. I weirdly don't find myself watching, like, I'll watch old Christmas specials, right? Like, I'll be like, oh, I want to watch Pee-wee's Christmas special. I want to watch the Garfield Christmas special. But I'm not like, ooh, it's Christmas time. I've got to bust out season 3, episode 11 of Scrubs. Like, I found that, like, a lot of Friends has almost no Christmas episodes. Half their Christmas episodes low-key just turn into New Year's Eve episodes.
Yeah.
So, like, I think that, especially in a world that you and I both happily live in, which is the world of the sitcom and the 40-minute TV drama, like, Thanksgiving usually fares better as a individual TV episode than the Christmas episode.
Oh, absolutely.
This episode is brought to you by Bumble, who says Valentine's Day is just for couples. Just because you're not in a relationship doesn't mean you can't get out there and live your best love life. That's where Bumble comes in. This February 14th, you can flip the script and give those relationshipers a friendly dose of FOMO. Say no to staying in this Valentine's Day and yes to more. More dates, more first kisses, more gossip for the group chat girlies. Do Valentine's your way. Date now on Bumble.
At Maximum Mediocrity, people say things like,
I don't dress like this on the regular basis. This isn't my, pooping uniform. This is not what I wear.
And they also say things like,
The nurses are usually either angels of mercy or whores.
Every episode is a new experience where you get to know people that aren't famous but should be.
Why did my facing Floyd Mayweather in the woods?
My co-host Morgan and I track down the people you didn't know you needed to hear from.
It's like hot sex in a mug.
We are the Maximum Mediocrity Podcast, and we are on all major podcasting platforms. We'll be waiting for you.
A lot of songs in this one. So let's take a look at this. So, episode kicks off. They're in Seth's room. We hear a group I've never heard of before, El Mart with We Drink on the Job. There's also Breathe Easy by the band Minibar when Ryan and Marissa are making out on his bed. Trespassers Williams has the song Different Stars that plays when Ryan and Marissa show up and meet Teresa. There are 2 covers of Caravan, one by the John Bazin Trio and one by Gordon Jenkins. which are both the soundtrack of Seth bouncing back and forth between Anna and Summer's rooms. Just before Ryan drops off the car and gets jumped, we hear Mellow Man Ace's Latinos Mundial. And at the end of the episode, we hear Alexi Mordich with Orange Sky. Mm-hmm. What are you going with your song of the episode?
So I was ready to come in here and say it's the final song that plays over, the final encounter with Trey, and then, the summation and all of that. But honestly, it's the covers of Caravan. Like this, like this, like really like burlesque type music that we're getting. That's making Seth out to be this Casanova, which is so strange to me. Strange to me now, was like, so hot for me then, but when I first started watching the show. But it's just like the fact that it's also two different covers of the same song for two different women, like that's beautiful in my mind. So it's that like heavy saxophony, like weird burlesque music for me.
So I'm going with what your first instinct was. I'm going with Orange Sky, and it comes with a story. Do you know, fun fact about the song Orange Sky, it is the only song in the movie Garden State that did not make it onto the Garden State soundtrack. And the reasoning was that the OC had already licensed it to be on the OC soundtrack coming out that same month.
Interesting. Interesting.
So I know this, for those of you who don't know something about me, as we've mentioned Manic Pixie Dream Girls multiple times, Garden State is, if not my favorite movie of all time, in my top 3, and is also among one of the most watched movies in my life. So Orange Sky has been a song that I hear the opening guitar strum. I hear that, had a dream, came in of an orange sky. Like I hear that and I'm transported back, baby. Like that is just good vibes. I love that movie.
I can't remember the last time I saw Garden State.
I think that Garden State is, I'm sure for most people, if they rewatch Garden State now, they'd be like, this aged really poorly and I don't like it. I think that the level of nostalgia that I have for that movie is too strong. It's because to me, it's not just, so Garden State hit me 2 different times in different, very important ways. So I saw Garden State the week before I graduated high school. And I still hadn't officially selected a college at that point. So there was something about Zach Braff's character's like numbness and fear of the future and all of that I just like instantly connected with. And I related to it so hard. I felt so seen in that movie. And then right after that, I go to college. I go to this community college that I ended up graduating from, and that's where all of my best friends came from. And winter break, I won't get into all the details, but I had the first truly bad heartbreak of my entire life. And it was literally the first day of winter break. And as I'm sure you know, when you go from your high school winter break to college winter break, where it's damn near a month long, you
can live a life in that time.
Well, especially because in your head you're like, whatever, it's only a couple extra weeks. But like, especially for me, I had like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So I had all these college friends for sure, but I still was friends with all of my high school, like all the kids who were like a grade below me in high school, like the people who were juniors when I was a senior. So in my mind, I'm like, winter break, I'm going to hang out and catch up with everybody. But a week later, they're back in school, and now I'm alone for 3 weeks, while all of my other college friends who came from like other states and other towns or whatever are back home. And it was a very lonely 3 months with a broken heart. And of course, my pre-ordered copy of Garden State came in the mail the day of the big breakup. And it was one of those situations where I was so sad I couldn't even get up and like change a DVD. So it was just like I was sitting on the computer feeling in my feelings, and that Garden State DVD would just keep replaying over and over and over again.
Damn.
Yeah.
You must have, like, damn.
I could almost recite that movie at this point. But but now, like, again, as you get older, then you look back at like your 18-year-old problems and they seem so small and so silly in comparison. So like, it's almost like now you would think that movie would be like triggering for me, but more it's just like, oh, I wish I could go back to when that was the biggest problem that was happening in my life. You know, like, it's very weirdly comforting in that way. But yeah, Orange Sky is my pick, but I agree with you. The idea of having two different versions of the same song for the different women is a fucking brilliant move. Like, love that. But real quick, pop culture stuff. What pop culture thing have you been indulging yourself in?
I gotta say that it's I gotta say, because as of recording this, I was able to secure them. As of recording this, I have tickets to see Beyonce on the Renaissance tour.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Man, I should have gone first because mine is weak sauce compared to you seeing the Queen live.
Yeah. Last time I saw her was the last time she was on tour, which was in 2016 for Lemonade. And I think it was 2016. Pretty sure. Anyway, I'm very excited to see her again. They're nosebleeds. They're nosebleeds, but like, I just want to be in the room with a bunch of people dancing to this beautiful album and this house music and whatever way she wants to present it, because she is such an artist and like understands in the same way that like Madonna understands how to curate a live show. Beyonce is also the same too. So it's gonna be good. Nice.
My weak ass comparison is that I watched the movie The Parenthood for the first time ever, and I loved it. It's a really charming, good movie. So now I think I'm going to indulge in the whole Parenthood TV series as well, which I've been told is very good. And my former co-host Kathleen, who will be on an episode of this podcast at some point, said your already giant heart will somehow grow 3 sizes even bigger when you watch The Parenthood. That's the level of joy it will bring to you.
Dang.
So I'm excited for that. But yeah, I mean, just the movie Parenthood, I did not realize that movie was as massive as it was. Like, looking at like just box office stats and stuff, like, oh, this movie was like a legitimate unexpected juggernaut of 1989. Like,
I actually don't think I even knew that Parenthood, the TV show, was based on a film.
Yeah, it was based on a movie starring Rick Moranis and Steve Martin and a few other people. It is a little bit drama, a little bit comedy. It's a Ron Howard film, but yeah, on a $20 million budget, it made $126 million. And it just tells multiple stories of different family members. So it's Steve Martin, Diane Weiss, Mary Steenburgen, Rick Moranis, Martha Plimpton, Keanu Reeves, Leaf Phoenix, and a few other people. But it's very sweet. It's very touching. It was #1 in the week it came out, and it's held a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes ever since. Even got a couple Academy Award nominations for original song and supporting actress. You know how like there are movies where right in the beginning you just know that you're gonna love it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was me with The Parenthood. So like The Parenthood starts off and it's maybe the 50s or early 60s, and it's a father taking his kid to a baseball game, and they sit down, and then the father gets up and walks over to like one of the random guys selling peanuts and hands him some money, and then walks away, and the guy sits down and starts talking to the kid, and the kid is like, I know that my dad just paid you to watch after me, but that's fine. And the guy's like, how do you know that? And he's like, because this is just a memory, and you're just a concoction of multiple different peanut men throughout all of my birthdays of the past as I try to reconcile with the damage that these have like, and it's like this amazing like fourth wall break of like trying to explain why Steve Martin has become such the helicopter overly loving parent that he was, in like a very cute, like, it's got that almost problematic figure as he may be. What made like those early Woody Allen movies so interesting was that that existential fourth wall break. So pretty much is that happens, and then we get a Randy Newman original song playing immediately after, and I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna be loving this movie for the next 2 hours for sure. And yeah, no editing or anything got done. I was just like eyes locked on the TV for a while. So Parenthood, if you haven't seen it, it was on Netflix. I don't even know if Netflix is still a thing by the time this episode comes out, but whatever. All right. Well, Joe, we had a nice homecoming, but we do also have a secret. But I can't tell you about that secret until next week.
Sitting on a secret.
Ooh, my baby's got a secret.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.